Hello everybody, Aaron the Nintintrovert here, and at the time of this recording I still haven't finished my Spyro the Dragon playthrough. I recorded and uploaded like a few episodes of that today. I could have went ahead and knocked that out today probably, but I was getting a little bit tired with Spyro. I kind of wanted to change pace a little bit and go ahead and start a new series just to kind of keep things fresh a little bit, so I don't get to experience too much tedium of just having to stick to one game. And with that being said, I've really been in the mood to play some Super Mario Brothers 3. It's a classic. Everyone is familiar with this game. Probably just about everybody has played it at some point in their lives. Came out in I want to say maybe like 1989 or something like that for the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. And yeah, it's a great game. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. I was debating, 1988 according to the copyright, which I know it came out in Japan before it came out in America by a pretty long margin, so I feel like we might not have got it till 89, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, let's just jump right into the game. And I am going to be using a officially licensed replica wireless NES controller. It's made to be pretty faithful to the original, although they got some extra stuff here. They've got like the little L and R buttons there to make it almost kind of like more like a Joy-Con in a way, and you can slide it into the console to charge them, which looks kind of ridiculous when you put it that way. But yeah, I've got one of these for Super Nintendo and for Nintendo 64 as well. I wanted to play with the wireless N64 one when I did my Mario 64 playthrough, but I didn't end up doing that because simply put, the controller wasn't charged and I didn't feel like charging it, because like I've got all this recording equipment and I didn't want to step around it, and it was just like, I didn't know if my performance would be as well playing the game using that, because the Nintendo 64 doesn't have exactly the best analog stick. My no death playthrough of that game might have been a multiple death playthrough had we done that. It'll be interesting to see how this goes, because I wouldn't say this is like the best controller either. It's it's got your couple buttons. It's got your control pad there. It's got a start and select, but yeah, it's pretty small, not the most comfortable grip. You got these sharp 90-degree corners here, so it might get a little uncomfortable after a while. So let's just jump into it and see how we do. I never grew up with an original NES, so it's kind of a this is gonna be interesting. I bought this controller a while back. It's been a good little bit, but I've hardly really used it very much. So yeah, I can already tell. Like you've really got to press hard onto this control pad. I don't know if it's where it's new and I've just not broken in the buttons yet or whatever. If that's even a thing, like it's like a pair of shoes. You just got to wear it for a while and then it fits nice and snug. But yeah, Mario 3 was a revolutionary game when it came out. I talked before about Mario 64 when we played that game, about what a groundbreaking game it was. It was like the first 3D game with a controllable camera and everything. But this game deserves a lot of credit too, even if it didn't completely reinvent the wheel, I guess you could say, like Mario 64 did. It set a precedent that pretty much every Mario game since then, this one has followed to some extent. It's not, there was already, it was the third Super Mario Brothers game, but whereas, and it's kind of some weird history a little bit, because so the first Mario Brothers came out in America, and I think in Japan in the same year in 1985, and received a lot of critical acclaim and everything. And then the Mario Brothers 2 that we got, this is common knowledge if you're like a hardcore Nintendo nerd like me. It's kind of a meme of how common this knowledge is. But starting out anyway, my audience is going to be probably people from my hometown who I've shared this link to on Facebook or whatever watching this, who might not be common knowledge for them. But the Mario 2 that Japan got was pretty much a direct sequel to the original Mario Brothers. It came out, I want to say maybe like a year later, in like 1986 or something like that. And it was kind of like the same graphics, like the same visual style as the original Super Mario Brothers on the NES. I don't even know if it had any new like characters or like enemies or anything like that. I think it was pretty much just a bunch of reused assets from the first Super Mario Brothers, but then they made entirely new levels out of it. But it was very punishing. It was very difficult in a lot of ways. It honestly kind of trolls you. It could be pretty unfair with just like hidden invisible blocks that, like, unless you find it, like, you're not going to be able to progress, and it's just hidden in like a really obscure area. Or they do a pretty mean thing where there's some levels where you've got warp zones in the first Super Mario Brothers that would take you to a whole new world. Oh, we missed our star there. It's so sad. But yeah. Anyway, you can. You'd have these warp points that would skip you ahead to like World 4 or whatever. But in Super Mario Brothers 2, you had some that would actually send you backwards. You might be on like the 4th world and get a bad warp point that would take you back to like the first world of the game. So it's just very trolly, like I said. So that version never came out in America initially. When we finally did get it, it wasn't until the 90s on the Super Nintendo in the collection known as Super Mario All-Stars, which included the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, which over here was called The Lost Levels, because it never released over here. So the full name of the game was Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. The game that we got that was Super Mario Bros. 2, which is the one that first introduced Birdo and Shy Guys and just a lot of iconic Mario elements that have still stuck around to this game, or to this day. The first one to have Luigi, where he kicks his legs and jumps higher than Mario, and where you could play as Toad, who is the fastest but can't jump quite as high, and then Princess Peach, who can she can kind of like float in the air by holding her dress up. And these are all kind of like staples of the Mario series that never really went away. And but that game was never actually intended to be a Mario game. So that's the Super Mario Bros. 2 that we got, is what I just described. And in Japan, I don't think they initially got it. But it was released over there later. Also, here's a secret. I should probably explain what I'm doing. There's a very obscure secret. I don't know how you would know this if you hadn't, played the, or if you didn't have like a strategy guide or something. But if you crouch on this white block, Mario will fall through it and end up in the background. You can see everything's layered in front of him. This is not a glitch. This is intentional. And you can just run back here and get this bonus box here. One toot on this whistle will send you to a faraway land. Alright, Mario, time to fart on that whistle. But yeah, we're not going to use that because we don't want to skip to a whole new world. We're just going to play through them all in sequential order, because what's the fun in just skipping everything, We'll get this Toad House here, which we'll open. But anyway, Mario Brothers 2, the one that we got over here in Japan is called Super Mario Brothers USA, because it was the American release. It was actually the Super Mario Bros. 2 that we got, because they decided, like in Japan, they were just like, yeah, this game's going to be too hard and too frustrating. American audiences aren't going to like it, because I guess we're not as hardcore as the Japanese. I don't know, which I've raced Mario Kart Online against some Japanese players, and I can say that's a pretty accurate assessment. They're pretty hardcore. But yeah, so they ended up releasing, it was a Japanese-only game called Doki Doki Panic. And Doki Doki, I think in Japan, is kind of like a onomatopoeia. So like if you remember in English class, like a sound effect, basically, like pow, pop, zang. Those are onomatopoeias, like stuff in like a comic book, that describe action, or like a sound effect. But yeah, Doki Doki is supposed to be, what it means is like bump bump. So it's like the sound of like a heartbeat. I guess like Doki Doki, that like over there, that's I guess what they call like the sound of a beating heart. Like Doki 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 Doki. Bump, 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 bump. Which there's another game with that name that became kind of an internet sensation some years back. I don't know when that came out, if it's 2015, 2016, or what. Might have been older than that, 2013, 14. Never played it myself. It's not really my sort of thing, but like Doki Doki Literature Club or whatever, which is like an anime dating sim horror game or something. I don't know a whole lot about it. Not really my cup of tea again. But yeah, so that's what Doki Doki means. And anyway, so that was a game that Nintendo made in Japan, made by Miyamoto, who's the guy who makes makes Mario and everything. And just 1 second, I'm getting a call. I'm gonna have to pause this. I'm gonna have to cut it out. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. My dad locked himself out of the house, so that was I had to let him in. But we're good to go now. Let me reorient myself with the camera. Yeah, so I was talking about the Japanese game Doki Doki Panic. It was made by Shigeru Miyamoto, who is, you know, the creator of Mario, and it was just kind of supposed to be its own thing, which I didn't realize this until more recently. We're going to skip that Fire Flower. But evidently that's like a licensed game. Like, I guess Doki Doki Panic is like some kind of Japanese thing. So if we fly up here, we can get another secret warp whistle, which I'm not going to use. I'll probably actually rewind it. So we're playing this on the Nintendo Switch Online app, and it has a convenient feature here where you can rewind. Because when we go up here, this is going to skip the boss fight. But if you fly up there, go to the end, and then press up, you can go through a door that you can't see because it's off screen. You get another one of these warp whistles, which will teleport us, and we can skip ahead to another world. And I'll play it just to show you what it's like. It goes do 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 do, and then Mario gets sucked up in a tornado that teleports him here, and you can pick which world you want to go to. But this is an emulated version of the game because it's running on the Switch Online app, so we can just hold down these two little back buttons they added here, and we can rewind because we don't want to skip ahead. We're going to go back to before we got that Forsaken whistle. We did a little bit of time travel there, but yeah, that I did kind of want to show what that was though, because he plays that whistle, that da 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 da, and that's actually that warp whistle is an item that actually first appeared in Zelda, which in the original Legend of Zelda from like 1986, so a couple years before this game came out. You could use that to fast travel. I recently played the NES Zelda not too long ago for the first time. You kind of have to use a guide. I was kind of like looking on like a guide online to figure out exactly where I needed to go and what I needed to do, because the game doesn't really do a very good job explaining it. But other than just kind of not really being clear where you're supposed to go, like if you do play the game with kind of a guide and follow the instructions for like which door to go to and everything, or like where to, you know, find the different dungeons, that game is surprisingly very ahead of its time. I did not realize, but it holds up very well in a lot of ways, other than just because I'd played it before, but just that initial barrier of like, okay, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do or where I'm supposed to go. I'm just wandering around aimlessly. But there's a little secret here we can take. But it's surprisingly a really good game, and you can fast travel in that game. So that warp whistle that appears in this game was first from The Legend of Zelda on the NES. So it's kind of a neat little callback. It's cool how even back in the 80s, you know, when gaming was in its infancy stage, you still had little Easter eggs and hidden references and stuff like that. If that whistle, it would make that same exact sound effect that played when I used it there a minute ago, and got a weird like miscolored pixel there off to the right, or a good handful of pixels there, I guess. Yeah, it was such a neat little thing, and it also plays an Ocarina of Time on like the title screen for that game. There's like a piano riff where it's got like, if you played Ocarina of Time, you know, Link, he galloping on his horse Epona, and you know, one part of the music you hear, like on the Ocarina, you hear this melody where it goes do 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 do, and they really slow it down. But it's that exact same melody from the warp whistle from the first Zelda game, which was also in Super Mario Bros. 3, being reused in another Zelda game, like I don't know, 12 years later or something like that. 11 years, however long the gap was between the original Zelda and the Nintendo 64 Zelda. But so that's just kind of a neat little Easter egg there. How Nintendo's always kind of had little references to other franchises in their games, which continues to this day. You know, there's constantly Mario references in Zelda references in Mario, and stuff like that. They've of course got Smash Brothers, which is just one giant collaboration with other properties, and now they got like Pac-Man and Sonic and Metal Gear and Street Fighter and all these other properties in there, which is just awesome to see. I want to do a video on this channel talking about like my hopes for the next Smash Brothers game and what I would like to see in it, because I think there's still a lot of characters they could add that would really get people excited. Me personally, I would love to see Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, of course. That's two of the very first playthroughs I did on this channel. I'd love to see Rayman get in there. We still don't have Waluigi, which is such a weird omission when we've got other you know, kind of more secondary Mario characters like Princess Daisy. Like, how do you put Daisy in but not Waluigi? But there's just so much meme potential with him. It's free marketing. We grabbed a Fire Flower there. That's fine. I didn't mean to do that, but it's kind of a nice change of pace instead of just having the raccoon suit all the time. But But yeah, so Mario 3, just kind of getting back to what I was talking about way back there, is, yeah, so this was the, in a lot of ways, the proper follow-up to the original Mario Brothers, because the Mario Brothers 2 that we got in America was not really Mario 2, and the Mario 2 that Japan got was almost like the original Super Mario Brothers, but a hard mode. It was like the same graphics, same visuals, but we're just going to troll you with some really challenging level design. But yeah, Mario 3 added a whole lot of stuff that was brand new to the series. You know, you've got, right now I'm on an airship level where it auto-scrolls, and they've kind of become a staple of Mario games. They're very, very iconic. Some of the best levels in Mario games. I always look forward to doing an airship level. Very iconic, very epic music. Da 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 da. But yeah, this game, beyond just like new theming, like, you know, all the airship level, like there's a lot of stuff where it did really, you know, set precedents, kind of like how Mario 64 did with the, you know, the open exploration and the free camera and everything. This game has, you know, a world map where we go through and we select our levels on the map, and you didn't really see that up to that point. The original Mario Brothers, you just go in order from one level to the next, and you don't really have a way to choose the exact level you want. I think maybe there is like a secret, but it's like a secret cheat code you can enter in only after beating the game that lets you go through and do whatever level that you want. But well, we beat the first world, and it's only been like maybe 20 minutes. I almost feel like we could go and do another one, but I don't know if that would be a little too long. So we might just have kind of maybe a shorter first episode here. Maybe we should just call it now. Just do 8 episodes, do 1 world for each episode. Because I feel like World 2 and like definitely some of the later worlds are going to take a little bit longer. Thank heavens, I'm back to my old self again. Thank you so much. Here's a letter from the princess. I've not even been explaining the story about what's going on here, but essentially we've been going around. There's like a king. We got to go to each of these worlds. He's been transformed, and we got to get his magic wand back, his staff, his scepter, his rod, whatever that has magic powers was stolen by the Koopalings, which are Bowser's 7 elite minions. You got to fight one of them at the end of each world. It's like the boss. There's Larry, Lemmy, Iggy, Roy, Morton. Did I say Lemmy already? There's Ludwig. I get them mixed. They got very similar names. I might have repeated one twice and forgot another one. Roy, Larry, Lemmy, Iggy, Morton, Ludwig. Who am I forgetting? Did I say Larry? I don't know. I might have said all 7. One of those 2 times of me saying them both times, I might have got all 7 in there. But they kind of retconned it, though, because in the old games, like in the instruction manual, it said those were Bowser's kids. But then they wrote that out. Nowadays, it's like, no, these are just Bowser's minions. Bowser Jr. is Bowser's only kid, and it's just like, why are you retconning that? I don't know. But anyway, we got a letter from Peach, so let's put on my shrill girly voice here. Greetings. If you see any ghosts, be careful. They will give chase if you turn away. I have enclosed a jewel that helps protect you. Princess Toadstool. And yeah, if you remember what I was saying in the Mario 64 playthrough, if you watch that, for those who don't know, Princess Peach was originally called Princess Toadstool in America. She was always Princess Peach in Japan, but it wasn't until Super Mario 64 when they changed that to match the original Japanese translation and started calling her Princess Peach. So yeah, even like Bowser, he's not called Bowser in this game. He's called like the Koopa King, or like King of the Koopas. But yeah, I guess that's it for our first episode here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. It kind of ended a lot more quicker than I anticipated. These Spyro ones it's been taking me like 40 minutes, and I only get maybe like halfway through a world. So there's a lot more I wanted to talk about this game and just why it's so important that I really didn't get a chance to touch on. But we'll end it here, and we'll just pick right back up here on part 2, and I can ramble some more about why this game is so good and why it's so important. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode. See you later.